Welcome to SOS VHS Oscar edition. So we had the Oscars last night, and we wanted to discuss with you what happened and, what is our take. I had to say that I was pretty good on my predictions. I think I missed only two.
Oh yeah, you were on fire. I thought you were going to get them all. But
to be honest, I think this year was a little predictable. I think it was in the air, kind of like what was going to happen. In terms of the ceremony itself, I think like every year is more or less the same, right? They did it an hour earlier, so people wouldn't complain as much as about how long it is. Still so long.
It was great for my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to put them down. They weren't up too late.
Yeah. By 7, it's done. It's good timing. Jimmy Kimmel did okay. I think I think it's a not a great format for a comedian to be at the Oscars. There's always these jokes that they don't land, trying to poke fun of people you don't know. I don't know. It's not.
I thought Billy Crystal was the best host.
Back in the day, I would say so. There was some magical about that too. But I think he was a comedian and a part of the
exactly. Yeah, he was
of the guild. So there was more of a rapport. He did okay. I think it went well. They had funny moments.
Billie Eilish's performance was great. I thought. The I Am Ken performance by.
I think everybody was waiting for Ken. Actually, they pushed it to the end, even if they knew that that song wasn't gonna win. The spectacle was worth it. The performance was worth it. He did a little bit of like Marilyn Monroe tribute, with his performance with like diamonds are a girl's best friends.
John Cena was great. That bit, I was actually laughing out loud at that bit. I thought
John Cena was awesome. Is the perfect Ken. Presenting the costume design award without costume or clothes. Yeah, and by the way, John Cena is just on Bad Friends now, so you guys can catch up Ricky Stenicki episode today too. But yeah, overall, I think it was predictable but good. I was not disappointed. I thought most of the awards were very deserving. I think this year was a good year for movies. I was excited again about the movies in 2023. Oppenheimer won big. I think we talk about it on the show since I saw it over the summer. I never had an experience like that of watching a movie I haven't had an experience like that in a long time. It was like everything that I love about Hollywood. It was big. It was carefully designed. Everything was great performances, good script. Actually, one of the although I thought he wasn't gonna win like a best adapted screenplay, I think it was a very deserving nomination. And I would probably, if I had to choose myself, I would have given him the Oscar for adapting that book of American Prometheus. Really dense book. It's not a movie when you read that book. It's not a movie, and he made it into a very exciting thriller about the race to make the atomic bomb. I think it's a movie worth watching. The performances were amazing. And so I was team Oppenheimer and he won. I think like a skeleton here, you were more on the Killers of the Flower Moon team, right?
I was, but I actually didn't expect it to win.
Yeah.
I didn't, for some reason, I don't know what Killers of the Flower Moon feels like Oscar bait, but for some reason this year I was like, I don't think it's going to win a ton. I thought it would win one, but it won
right.
Zero. It won 0.
Yeah, he did. Scorsese didn't win anything with this movie. I think it's an amazing movie, but it was Christopher Nolan's time too. Like, it's his best movie. He's one of those directors that, that like Spielberg and Scorsese on their time, like it's now his time, and I think it's smart for the Academy to recognize someone who making a movie like this, it became a blockbuster, which is very interesting.
And Christopher Nolan showed us more in this movie. He showed us he flexed a little bit more of his emotional muscles.
Absolutely, something that we talk about it too in the show, like his coldness, like he was able to get rid of that part, and he made a a psychological movie where you understand the character really well and his emotions, and it didn't feel cold. It didn't feel like seeing it from the outside. They said that the script was written in first person, and that Cillian Murphy, when he read it, is like, oh wow, I never read a script that is in first person. It's usually scripts are written in third person, and I think that was a very conscious decision of trying to make it as personal and as from his point of view as possible. I don't know. I think yeah. I feel good about it. I had a couple moments where my predictions didn't convey, and we can go over then. Yeah, we can. Why don't we start from the beginning and see? So, actor in a leading role. I think it was clear that Cillian Murphy was gonna win. Everybody has been raving about him from the beginning. He won the SAG Actors Guild Award, which is usually a good indication. He won the Golden Globe in the category of drama. He won a bunch of other awards that led to him. So I think it wasn't the air that he was gonna win the Oscar.
Also, a lot of great clips and memes for his interviews where he's rolling his eyes, and everyone loves.
You can feel that he's not very comfortable in the spotlight outside the set. Like he probably likes his privacy a lot. He's been working with Christopher Nolan from the beginning. Like he was in Batman Begins and all the other Batmans, right? He always have his small roles there. And I think Christopher Nolan saw the potential early on him. And I think, obviously, Peaky Blinders is out there, and people know him for that. I remember watching him early on in my college years, and like 28 Days Later.
Sunshine.
And Sunshine, both with the same director. But I think this is a performance that has it all been subtle and big and all of it at the same time. I thought it was an amazing performance and a great transformation. So yeah, I think there were great actors in this category this year. I think obviously Bradley Cooper was there, and he did a great job. Paul Giamatti, he won the Golden Globe too, and I think the polls were like, okay, he's gonna be between these two. It was an Alexander Payne movie, remarkable performance. I think that whole movie is him, so it's great. And then we have Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. The thing is, like, it felt like both him and Coleman Domingo for Rustin, like that. It wasn't just the year for them. They were all great, but not a competition. I think I don't think anyone on their polls chose anyone but Cillian Murphy. Then the supporting role also was out there. Robert Downey Jr.'s career is like a little bit of a roller coaster. He was Chaplin 30 years ago when he was nominated. He had a pretty turbulent life. With people make fun of him a lot, with drug abuse, and like jail. Like Jimmy Kimmel made a joke about that. I didn't think it was that funny, and not the moment. But I mean, he resurrected through the Marvel universe, and he was a great Tony Stark. But I think like someone giving him a chance to flex other muscles, you could see him. I think he's a riveting person to watch on Oppenheimer, and I think it's a great. They have a great tour de force between him and Cillian Murphy. Yeah,
those two I feel like were hands down. Like Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr. You just saw it on the screen. You're like, wow. Well, yeah. I mean, something just got you with those guys. I mean, Cillian Murphy's the whole movie. He is Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
the whole movie. And then Robert Downey Jr. just showed you something. His range in acting. You're like, oh, this is an Iron Man. This is the character. I didn't see Robert Downey Jr. I saw his character.
Absolutely. And I think he was subtle about it. He was I don't know. I found the acting in this movie incredibly compelling, and he had such great actors playing like 5-minute roles. Anyway, I think it's well deserved. So then we have the actress in a leading role, and this was one of my two mistakes in my prediction. So I thought Lily Gladstone was gonna win for Killers of the Flower Moon. I think her performance was amazing in it. Scorsese and DiCaprio had called her the heart of the movie. Yesterday they called her the soul of the movie, but it is the person that anchors that movie. I thought her performance was beautiful. But Emma Stone won. And Emma Stone, when I see her in Poor Things, is more the type of performance that wins an Oscar. You know, it's a little more flashy, very deserving. I love Emma Stone in Poor Things. I think is definitely a joy to watch. But it is more that type of performance that is, you know, out there. You know, when you're trying to do something a little bit out of the norm, it gets more attention. And she won. I think that the other actors were all amazing in it too. Like, we have Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and I think Maestro, the same way as Killers of the Flower Moon, they went home with nothing, and there were movies that were very worth it too. But I think they both lack the entertaining or the spectacular aspect of Oppenheimer and Poor Things. Poor Things is beautiful. I think it won all the visual aspect of the movie, right? Except for cinematography, all the costumes and the hair and production design, because Yorgos made a beautiful, beautiful movie. Actress in a supporting role was something that also from early on she's been winning all the acting awards. Her name I'm gonna mispronounce, but it's Davin Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. And The Holdovers, which is a movie that I really recommend. I think it's now on streaming. It's a small movie, but it's beautiful, and it's the only accolade for the movie last night. Definitely worth watching. It's an intimate movie. It has comedy and drama. It's a character-driven piece. All the actors are insane in it. The kids are amazing, and the adults are great. And definitely, well, she summarizes the movie with a great performance.
Talked about her publicist.
Yeah.
which everyone made a joke about afterwards, like, oh, I don't have a publicist, but I do want to think, like, everyone just kind of jumped on that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Oscars, and something that we have to remember, is that although meritocracy doesn't exist at the Oscars, right? Like it's a lot of publicity, it's a lot of it's campaigns, PR, and money is spent on these awards, you know. More years more than others, you know, as famous the Harvey Weinstein one with win over Spielberg with Saving Private Ryan, but which wasn't the movie that won the Shakespeare in Love, right? That was one of those that will always be there, and it was about the campaign. It was about convincing people to vote for that movie versus this other movie. So yeah, I think publicists and producers have a lot to do with getting an award. Then Emily Blunt from Oppenheimer was nominated. I think her role, she's always amazing. Her role was too small for me to be, a true contender here. America Ferrara had that huge Barbie speech, and everybody praised her. But I think Divine was the right choice too. Animated feature. I don't think a lot of people have seen The Boy and the Heron yet, and we're fans of Miyazaki on this show. I think everybody knows Bobby's a huge Miyazaki fan. So
and Rudy
and Bad Friends. We talk about him all the time. We made a T-shirt on Bad Friends recently. With an homage to his art.
Yeah, I think it was My Neighbor Totoro, right?
Yeah, My Neighbor Totoro. And then with Rudy, we discussed his first feature film here. And I think, I don't know, I thought it was a beautiful movie. I think the other contender was Spider-Man Across the multiverse, or the Spiderverse.
Which which I really loved, but you just can't compete with Miyazaki. He's just brilliant.
Look, I thought the Spider-Man was beautiful. It was just exactly the same experience as the first one in terms of the art, and they had already won the Oscar for that. So I think it was good. There's a little bit, my heart is broken there. There's a Spanish movie nominated called Robot Dreams that is also beautiful. I knew it had no chance, but I mean, I think being nominated with a small Spanish movie at the Oscar is already a huge accomplishment. So good for Pablo Berger. Then cinematography, again, I think Hoyte van Hoytema, he's one of those big Hollywood DPs, from like doing a Spectre with Sam Mendes to a lot of the Christopher Nolan movies like Interstellar and Tenet. And he's a European director. One of his first movies is a movie that I love. He did a Swedish Let the Right One In. How do you know, John? Yeah, I love that movie so much. It's beautiful. I recommend it. They did a remake in the US called Let Me In. That is okay too, but
watch the original. It's all about the original.
The original is beautiful, like the acting, but the cinematography is amazing. And I think it was about time. And he's been nominated a couple times, and this movie is beautiful. Also, let's remember, it's shot on film. It's a 65 millimeter IMAX. You know what we call 70 millimeters is actually 65 millimeter IMAX, which I think probably one of the few movies shot in 2023 in this format. I think when you watch it, if you guys get to see Oppenheimer, hopefully it'll go back to the movie theaters now. If you guys get to watch it on an IMAX screen, a real IMAX screen, you will have an experience that is pretty much, it has nothing to do with watching on your TV. It's so immersive. The whole screen is up and down. It's like you are in the movie. And for a movie like this, like you're captivated the whole time.
I liked what he said during his speech. It's like we're doing this hip thing, shooting on celluloid these days, and it makes it look so much better.
There's a magical quality. I think, like, obviously the younger generation doesn't care anymore because like digital is so good now and so pristine. Celluloid is more expensive, and it has that little grain and the flickering and after watching a few times you can see scratches. I think because I'm a little bit of nostalgic and grew up watching those movies, that has a little bit of that magic in it. Definitely beautiful movie. All of the cinematography was amazing. Like it always is. Rodrigo Pietro had Killers of the Flower Moon.
And he did Barbie, right?
And he did Barbie. It's the same year. Amazing. Which also is a visual feast. I think all of the movies nominated were amazing in it, but I thought it was his time too, and like one of those movies that it is visually stunning. And then, but that was it for Oppenheimer in terms of the visuals. Every other aspect of the visual part of the technical awards went to Poor Things, which I think is the runner-up at the Oscars. I think Oppenheimer won 7 and Poor Things won 4. Costumes, production design, hair and makeup, and then the lead actress. So costume design, I had the chance to see her name is Holly Waddington. She's a British costume designer. She had won the BAFTA the week before I met her. I met her at the Wallace Center in LA, which is like performance arts, and like they do a lot of like cultural activities, and she had all the designs there, so she spoke a little bit of how it came to be. And I thought it was fascinating because she was saying that two things. One, that the director's note was rotten apples for the color scheme of the movie, and so she bought a bunch of apples, let it rotten, and took all this picture, right, and see all those pinks and yellows that are very specific, and used that as the color palette for the movie. I thought it was a really fun, interesting thing. The other little thing that she said was that she has little kids, and she says that sometimes they, when they dress on top and they are naked on the bottoms or like very underdressed. And that with that concept, she designed most of Emma Stone's clothing, especially in the beginning. So had like big, jackets and like very elaborated tops and very underdressed like bloomers and underwear, and put those kind of like match those things together. I I think Poor Things is a visual feast. Again, I use that word again, but it's beautiful, and I think she was very deserving. We got to directing. There was no chance, you know. I think when Scorsese won only one Oscar, he's the most nominated director, I think, of that is alive. I think he upstaged Spielberg by one extra nomination. I don't think Scorsese won for his best picture. You know, he won for The Departed, a good movie, but it wasn't his Taxi Driver or Raging Bull or Goodfellas. I think this movie could have been that for him. I think he would have deserved it. But this is Christopher Nolan's best movie, in my opinion. He's at the top of his game. And also, he's a driving force for the industry today. This is a director who makes serious movies about serious subjects, and they're all blockbusters. So I think for once, like, kind of like the artistry and the industry got together, and I think it was very deserving for him to finally win an Oscar. All the other directors great. I think those movies are amazing, and like I said, I'm very happy with this year's lineup of movies. But it was Chris Nolan's time,
and it's only a matter of time before Yorgos gets one. It's going to happen.
And Yorgos is such a artist, you know, and in such a personal voice. I think Poor Things, like The Favorite before, are amazing movies, and I think if he keeps it up, he's gonna win soon, like you say, Skeleton. We'll go to editing, and if again Oppenheimer won, Jennifer Lame, she's an editor who have worked in movies like, you know, Black Panther and Hereditary. So she's not a newcomer per se. She worked with Christopher Nolan in Tenet, and now it's her Oscar time. I think this movie, with the directing and the writing, I think the editing is the third thing that I would put up front. I think, and I said visually astonishing, like both like cinematography and the designs, the costumes, the makeup, everything was great in this movie. But the editing is so specific. It's such a complex story, and the way that they try to make it a psychological, character-driven movie is mostly done through the editing, right? The way that they intercut the stories, and the way that we go inside the character's mind to feel what he's feeling, his regret, his guilt, his dread, his excitement, all of that stuff. I thought it was incredible, and this was one of the first, when I saw the movie, I thought, look, this is his time for directing, and I think the editing is gonna win too.
And Nolan movies are, I feel like, pretty hard to edit because they're so cerebral, and he plays with time, and you know, and try to make it cohesive at the same time. I can only imagine what Tenet, you know,
definitely
what she had to do with Tenet.
And exactly, Tenet, such a complicated movie that she edited, but like we were talking about with Nolan a little bit, that movie is a little bit of a exercise. It's a little bit cold. It's really cool to watch, but it doesn't have that element that Oppenheimer has, that is like grabs you and just doesn't let you go. International film. Also, I think it was very clear. I think that the trick is, if you get nominated for Best Picture and Best Foreign Film, usually you win. The foreign film one, you know, because one, as we say, like, this is an Oscar campaign, so people will know you way better because you're nominated in the main category. But two, this movie is about the Holocaust, and it's done the way that Jonathan Glazer makes this movie is so interesting and different. Steven Spielberg called this the best movie of the Holocaust since his own, and I think is right. You know, after Schindler's List, there's been other movies that won Oscars in foreign film, like The Son of Saul won an Oscar a few years ago and had the Holocaust theme. But this movie is that talks about kind of like nature of evil, and when we do dehumanize something, it's so easy to do the things that they did. In the banality of like how like, oh, these people were monsters, were just normal people. It's all created by sound, which they also won best sound. I think very deserving. It's a movie that I'm not intending to watch again anytime soon, but it is definitely worth watching, and it'll stay with you. Again, like in this category, we have a Spanish movie that I love called Society of Snow by a director, Juan Antonio Bayona, who has done so many cool movies. He did The Impossible, which is the first movie by Tom Holland, and it has Naomi Watts there, and Naomi Watts was nominated for an Oscar. He did a Jurassic World movie. He's such a great director, and I think this movie is just a good movie. It's very entertaining. It's very faithful to the real story about this. The way that he did it, it's a story that is very well known, especially in the Latin world, where like this airplane crashes in the mountains, and these people with no food have to survive for 2 months and end up eating each other, right? Eating the dead people. It's not a horror movie. It's more like a survivor story, and like kind of like how the human spirit can like triumph through the worst of circumstances.
I'm getting PTSD because you guys ate me, and yeah. This is very triggering for me.
Right. It is triggering. But anyway, it's a Netflix movie, so it didn't get a huge run in the movie theaters, which should had. But I really recommend it. I think it did well on Netflix. But if you guys haven't seen it, Society of Snow, really good. With makeup and hair, again, Poor Things won. Very deserving, very spectacular. I think the other movies nominated were more about transforming people into something else. So Society of Snow, again, they had to recreate that process of like getting so skinny by not eating over like the period of 2 months, just surviving on barely anything. Golda and Maestro were transforming these people into getting as close to possible to the real people. There's a little bit of controversy with Maestro and making Bradley Cooper look more Jewish and all of that, if it was a racial thing or not. I think honestly,
careful.
They were trying to go for naturalism, and he does a good job with it. What did you say?
I said careful.
Yes. I'm just saying, like, I think
I know what you meant. I know what you're.
It's an incredible transformation from Bradley Cooper, not only acting wise, but physically. But with Poor Things, they went in a different direction, and they created a unique, fun world. And I think because of that, it's so outstanding and fun. And the same thing that they did with costumes, like we talk about, and they did with production design and like set building, all that. Music, again, we had the 51st or 51 nomination for John Williams for another Indiana Jones. That's incredible. How can someone, I think is after Walt Disney, the most nominated person in the history of the Oscars. What can we say about John Williams? I always love his music. But in today's, and with another Indiana Jones, it wasn't his time at all to win. He already has won 5 times. And Ludwig Göransson, who is the composer of Oppenheimer, has been on fire. Because he was nominated last year for Wakanda Forever, and he won an Oscar for the first Black Panther. He also is such a talented guy who is he doesn't only do music for film, he does records, and he works with artists. He works with Charles Gambino. He wrote the song for with Rihanna for Wakanda Forever on the Lift Me Up song.
And he said his wife is a
violinist, so he married a violinist, and because this soundtrack has a lot of violin, they got to work together.
I really related to they were working and they were trying to hurry up in the studio to put their kids to bed. I was like, oh, that's real. That's
absolutely,
real.
absolutely. Like they made him feel like such a real people. And the thing with him is like he started his first movie was Fruitville Station, which is Ryan Coogler's first movie too. They met at a school and then they worked together in all their movies together. That's why he got the Black Panther. But he also did Creed. Really talented guy. I thought the music in Oppenheimer, again, goes through that, getting into the psychology of the character, but also the scale of this movie, the horror, and the kind of awe that we have watching it. I loved it. So I think it's also, again, well-deserved.
Yeah, violin always reminds me of kind of mourning. Like you're mourning something, like the loss of humanity. Even in Schindler's List, the violin there that John Williams used. It just feels like you're crying almost, and it's not really, it's sad, but you just feel some sort of like way about a violin.
And they play the Schindler's List theme as he was going up to get the award, which was very strange to me. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know, very very cool. The original song was, I think they've been winning every single award. We knew that Billie Eilish was gonna win. It's such a cool song. It makes the movie work better. I think the ending of Barbie with that song makes it goes to a different level. I think Billie Eilish is so talented, and her brother too.
Youngest person to win 2 Oscars at 22 years old. Her brother is the second youngest to win an Oscar at 26 years old. Incredible duo.
They're crazily talented. I mean, it is 2 nominations and 2 awards, right? They won for the James Bond movie.
No Time to Die.
As the type of people I always hate, because it's like, how can people be so young and so talented and like effortless? I think definitely she's one of the artists of our time, Billie Eilish, in music.
9 Grammys, 2 Oscars.
Yeah, crazy. But it wasn't the performance that I think people like the most, because we have Ryan Gosling doing the Ken.
I'm just Ken.
Which I think, he didn't. You could see him. I don't remember which awards it was, like when he was nominated or he won, and where people like. You can see in his face that he's like, is this a joke? But I think he's such a cool guy. There is a movie of his with Emily Blunt coming out called The Fall Guy, about a stunt person, and he was just posting on social media how Spielberg came to see him and say, hey, I like it, I love the movie. And it was like, okay, that's it, that's all the praise I need. So he feels like a really normal guy. Definitely very talented guy. I think the joke from Jimmy Kimmel was like, for both of them, for Barbie and Ken, well, you guys didn't win an Oscar, but you won the genetic lottery.
Right.
And they did. And then Best Picture. Obviously, Oppenheimer is the first time that a Nolan movie wins Best Picture.
How many times had Nolan been nominated for Best Picture? I know Dunkirk, right? Was he nominated?
Yeah, I have to think. I mean, he was nominated 8 times, but that's across
like
all categories.
And, yeah.
I think Memento was nominated for writing. If I believe correctly, I think he had an Inception and a Dunkirk nomination.
But for Best Picture, I think wasn't Dunkirk nominated?
Dunkirk, yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember.
I have to look it up. But yeah, this is the first time they win. His wife and him are being like a producing team from the very beginning. I think, I don't know. There's obviously,
I love what Nolan said. Producer of my movies and producer of my children.
Yeah. He said our
children.
Producer of all our movies and our children.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's such a cool team. Everybody loves them in the industry. They seem very grounded people. And yeah, I mean, to me, this was the movie of the year. So I'm happy it won. Production design, we talk about it. One second with Best Picture, right? Like, since they changed the system of nominating Best Picture from 5 to 10 movies, right? Like, the 10 movies that are nominated are really good, and they have little gems like Past Lives, like a first-time director, first-time writer, Cillian Son, amazing movie.
Man, the Korean films have just been killing it. Korean film.
Absolutely. It's been one of those, like, we have American Fiction again, first time writer and director. So like small movies, and his win for best script. We'll talk about it in a second, but it was really interesting talking about the industry and hey, give opportunities to more people. So yeah, I like the idea of like opening up that category to more movies, because it's like, putting a little bit of a spotlight on something that is not always the biggest Hollywood movie. Production design, again, we talk about Poor Things, and they won with the creation of that whimsical Victorian fake world that is also stunning. I think it's well done, and the production designer, let me look at her name, Shona Heath, I think that's her name. This is really her only movie. She's more of an artist type, right? Like that, and she does a lot of sets for photography, for like window shop, for windows, at galleries and things like that, but not movies. So it's I thought it was a really cool thing. Obviously the other nominees for that were great, like Barbie created a great world too. Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon. Yeah, all of these movies had amazing sets. But they went, I think everybody voted for the most like original, unique art piece versus like something that we're trying to keep it grounded and real. And then I think we're on our, okay, so best sound. This was another one that I thought Oppenheimer was wanna win, and The Son of Interest won. I think The Son of Interest, like we talked about it before, was very much a movie built on sound, because although you are living with the characters just outside Auschwitz, you never see anything. You see just basically chimneys in the background. So everything, the horror that kind of like penetrates the movie slowly, comes all with the sound design. And so it's such a incredible work. I just thought Oppenheimer had like incredible sound that went with those visuals. And sometimes when you go into, okay, if it's gonna win all of this, I think they're gonna give it all to them, but they didn't. And I think, yeah, Zone of Interest really was also worth it.
Now, I haven't seen Zone of Interest, but do you think because sound was more of like a character or more involved in driving the story forward and emotionally, that's why it won over Oppenheimer?
That's what I thought. So when I was trying to pick my prediction, I was between the two of them, thinking, well, it's not that the other movies are not worth it. It's just that this movie uses it as a character. It's like such an important part. Oppenheimer was, I mean, the seats tremble, right? Like it's one of those things that you have all that range of like when it's silent, when I don't know. I think.
Even the explosion itself, the lack of sound and the breathing,
sound, and then
the vibrations of vibrating molecules or particles or something, that he's kind of seeing and envisioning.
Definitely a great team, but I thought like the Zone of Interest is more of a narrative element and like something crucial to their story. So I think that was probably why they picked it. Visual effects. I mean, Oppenheimer won, right?
No, Godzilla -1.
Oh, sorry. Visual effect. Oppenheimer wasn't even nominated. Godzilla -1. I won this one just because I love that movie so much, and I thought it was such a different type of movie that got me back into monster movies can be something different than what Hollywood has done. Actually, I just saw the trailer for the new Kong and Godzilla, and it looks terrible. It looks really, really bad.
Yeah, I saw it during Dune 2. I was like, oh my God, please.
Versus what they did with the Godzilla -1, which is like, hey, they created an incredible world where a monster means so much, and it goes over the trauma war, like the reason why Godzilla was born in the first place after the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think they did a great job. I have to say, as a fellow foreigner, I couldn't understand one word of what they say when they accepted the award.
Neither could I.
So I sympathize with our listeners here, you know, and when they say like they need subtitles when I talk, look, if I sound anything like that, I get it.
You're not even close to that. You're good.
But yeah, I thought, I mean, then all the other movies, Mission Impossible and the Guardians of the Galaxy are great. But I thought, yeah, I think they did a good job choosing something a little different. And the final two awards are for the writing. And these ones are the ones that I had the most qualms with. I thought American Fiction was going to win. I think he's such a talented writer and director. His name is Cord Jefferson. He was a writer in The Watchmen, the TV show, which was an incredible TV show for HBO. This is his first movie. I'm so surprised. But I think adapting that book, I'd never read the book, the original book. I think Oppenheimer was such a complex book that I would have given that writing award. I think it's not that I feel sorry for Nolan. I think he got enough, but it was one of those things that, yeah, I would have given to her. Also, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie. They did an amazing job. I don't think, although Barbie was technically snubbed, I think for that type of movie, getting this far, being the biggest movie of the year, getting so many nominations, I think was enough.
I think so too.
I like the movie. It's a good movie. I don't think it's the best movie of the year in their traditional way. So I think they put it in its place. Great movie, cool, but that's it.
If anything got snubbed, it was Killers of the Flower Moon. Like at least one, you know.
Absolutely, and a way better movie. You know, as time passes, you know, one will be like a whimsical, like fun thing, and the other one will stay with us. Yeah. I thought Cord Jefferson was going to win, but my heart was with Christopher Nolan. And then the original screenplay, that's the last one that I messed up. I thought the Holdovers was going to win just because it was winning some of the awards before that, and because, you know, kind of a nod to that movie if Paul Giamatti didn't have anything. I love that movie. I think it has such a beautiful building blocks for a character story. But Justine Triet and Arthur Harari made a movie and with Anatomy of a Fall that is, you know, and it's rare to have another, I mean, a foreign film more and more are coming into the mainstream in the US, but it's like, you know, she had the actress nominated, had a Best Picture nod, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. So I think it's an interesting movie. I recommend it. I'm curious to see. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Anatomy of a Fall. It's just the story of a woman who gets put on trial for potentially have been, murdering her husband, and you really never know what happens, but all the prejudices come to show when interrogating a woman. And the things that, you know, how we judge her based on her life choices and nothing to do with the facts. Also, curious enough, the main actress was in both The Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall, which is really, really interesting for one actress to have two movies nominated for Best Picture. I think the other movies, Maestro, May, December, Past Lives, were amazing too. Maestro is one of those that I think Bradley Cooper is so talented. Think about it. This is only his second movie. Both of his movies, he got nominated for Best Picture. This time around, he gets nominated for Best Director and Best Writing. He does the music, or he collaborates with the music, not in this movie, but in general. He writes, he directs, he acts,
produces.
Oh, what a guy, right? And Maestro is one of those movies that, like, Scorsese and Spielberg are behind it too to produce. I think it's such a cool movie, but it's less of a movie theater experience. It's a very small, intimate, character-driven movie. And I feel when Hollywood celebrates all the way out, when they have a movie that can do both, can be artistic, it could be, character driven and like have important things to say, but also it's entertaining and it's spectacular. You get the best of the best. And that was what Schindler's List was. That's what Oppenheimer is. And I think that's why it was Oppenheimer's year, and I'm happy about it. So I think like we can leave it here. Please, guys, like comment on this episode and see. I will be interested to see if you guys like what happened, or what will be your choices for best pictures. And we'll see you next week on SOS VHS.
Bye-bye.